Now, you had a mentor
Mm-hmm.
who did that for you.
Yeah.
What do you think, how would you explain to me your successful man? What did they show you? What did you learn that changed your entire trajectory in life?
I would say some of the biggest early changes was I had an ego coming out of school. I had
Don't we
a
all?
small hint of high school, by the way, where I had racked up, 100,000 saved up selling shoes. I just thought I was like the man and everything in a bag of chips, and so I had this massive ego that I thought I had everything figured out. So, getting into some principles, like it first started by tearing down the ego, right? And being open to, like, I can learn from you and I can learn from someone that's day one in business, right? And it's kind of like the old school, janitor, he's just a janitor in the school, but yet he was, had a 30-year career and can teach you all kinds of things, right? But so after we tore down the ego, it was getting into who I actually was, what I actually stood for, and having a set of core values that I didn't deviate from, right? And mine were very simple to start with. It's like, I won't make a dirty dollar. My word is my bond. So being able to commit to you and then over deliver, even if I fail, owning it in every aspect, and then tied it down with some faith, right? I was led to my faith walk at 18 and made that my third pillar, right? And so I took those basic principles and it molded me into very consistent and knowing what I stood for. And I think a lot of people, they get into an early game of comparison. So they get into Instagram and listen, I post some of this stuff myself. So they get into, well, this guy's got a Lambo and he's 27, right? And I'm 30 and I can't even afford rent. And so they get into this comparison game.
Sure.
They get so far away from their identity and they say, well, he's making his money in software, so I'm going to jump into software. And so getting into like a fourth pillar of success after the basics were covered was focus for me, right? I don't know about you, but I mean, I just thought I was the man having like 4 or 5 businesses going and none of them making money, and none of them making $1, and just thought I just just had it going on. And so kind of a course correction after I got my ego and personality in check and what I stood for, understanding that go all in on one thing and then the other opportunities start to unlock themselves. And I don't care what it is, right? I don't care if it's not sexy or glamorous. Remove the comparison of what you see on social media. I will be the first to tell you, and you have more of these friends than I do, from what I know. It's like 95% of what you see on social media is complete BS as far as
Absolutely.
the lifestyles and what people are putting on and putting out. And
For that reason, I don't post anything about personal wealth, personal possessions. Because
Yeah.
I don't want to mislead people to think whether I have $1 or I have $100 billion,
Yeah.
that's mine.
Yeah.
What does that matter?
And,
I ain't giving it to you, so me showing it to you doesn't mean anything.
and people get so, I was a victim of this early on, right? Like, how's he able to do this? And then you look at the industry and then you're like, I need to start a business doing that, right? And so people get, I say, lost in the sauce when it comes to the comparison game.
Yep.
And social media is a fantastic tool, but I see it stunt the growth of these entrepreneurs and people just getting started in business because they're constantly like, like looking at us. They don't understand that I have a decade under my belt. You have 30 years under your belt, and they just see the wins on the surface,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just like, how do they always just win? And
You know what social media to me is? It's taking the high school lunch area
yeah,
and brought it to the grown-up world.
yes,
Where
yeah.
it's like, oh my
That's
God, look at
that's
her
well
or
said.
his outfit, and they're the cool kids. And what they don't understand is social media is a snapshot picture.
Yeah,
I can pose in front of Jeff Bezos's brand new yacht and pretend it's mine.
yeah,
I can also pose in front of my own yacht and it is mine. Either way, that doesn't help you, who's ever seeing me on social media, achieve your own goals. And if they're only financial,
yeah,
which is also what seems to drive the most, right? It's either sexy body and you're selling sex, or you're selling possessions.
Yes.
Wealth. We all want wealth, right? It's America. We're all in business. This is a business show. I want to be a multi-billionaire. I'm not there yet. I've made millions. I'm not a billionaire.
That's
so
right.
yes, I can look at Jeff Bezos and go, gosh, I want all that. Of course you can. But what I'm trying to do, and with what you're talking about and what you guys have to do, is learn how to become the person who can generate and create that wealth. Because the most important thing to know is a huge percentage, and I don't want to butcher it and make up some percentage here, but I've read it, and it's very north of 60% of people who win the lottery lose it all. And the science behind it is not because, well, why is that? It's the same reason why a lot of professional athletes lose their money. They are not the person independently, because they accumulated wealth like the lottery in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
They aren't the person who could have created it, so they don't know how to retain it.
That's right. I didn't go far into it, but I was talking about that early foundation of identity.
Yep.
Understanding that I wanted to be the person that creates opportunity and creates jobs, which then creates wealth, and that I was worthy of it was a big part of it. And people, so to your point about the lottery winners, they have an element of, I didn't deserve this. And when you have, the ceiling mentally that you're worth, I'm just going to pick a number, 100,000 a year. If you do not grow mentally to the capacity of having millions, you will be back to the 100,000 mark very fast.
Absolutely.
Because your subconscious mind is the most powerful weapon there is. The subconscious mind dictates your thermostat. And I'm taking these words that were well said out of Ed Milet. He talks about the thermostat in the room. Like, if your thermostat's at 75, but you're playing at 110 degrees, you're going to be back at 75.
It's true.
And so the worthiness element of the mental, I'm going to achieve this, and this is why, and I am worthy of it, and I'm going to do good, and I'm going to do great, is a huge, huge foundation that you have to establish. How many entrepreneurs have you met in your last journey, in this journey, that had everything going for them, and now they're back to zero?
Huge percentage.
It's like the lottery winners, right?
Yes.
It's because they get lost in the sauce, they get in the game of comparison, they chase possessions, they get away from who they
fundamentals.
actually, they get away from who they actually are,